Hello everyone, Mark here with Mark's Max Muscle, and we have a very important matchup today. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lee Haney. Now, why is this so important? Give your head a shake. These are two of the greatest of all time, that's why. Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger on my channel won the 1970s Gladiator round tournament. He is the greatest of the 70s. Lee Haney did the same with the 80s decade. So we're going to see which decade was better, or at least which champion was better. These are two photo shoot pictures, of course. We're not going to be really using these as judging tools. Just for fun, we're going to show a couple of comparisons. This one here, a mantis position. More known for an Arnold pose, although Haney, he liked to hit this one. Both men, tremendous arm development. More of the tricep for Haney, and more of a bicep for Arnold Schwarzenegger. Look at those pecs on the Austrian oak. I'm telling you one thing right now, both of these gentlemen have their work cut out for them. We're, of course, going to begin with this front relaxed position. And back in the 70s, they didn't really hit it the same way. Of course, Haney's presentation looks a little bit better. Look at the oak. Look at the size of his pecs and arms compared to Haney. A lot of you don't realize Arnold had a few inches on Haney. 6'2", Haney only 5'11", so that's 3 whole inches. And I'm sure Arnold, if he was able to do a better pronounced standing relaxed, he may be getting an edge in this one. Hooah! Arnold with a little bit of a flex. That's okay, Oak. We're just in the symmetry round here. We're not really making huge decisions. Let's go to the side here. Again, I have to be a little bit critical on how the oak is standing. Lee Haney tilting a little bit, just thusly, so you can see his far teat, his far pec. Arnold, you can't really. If Arnold could just tilt just slightly, well, that's too much, Oak. Of course, Oak looks better now. He's tilting more than thusly, justly. All right, these two are pretty even, guys. This is going to be a good match. Let's finish up the symmetry round with the rear relaxed positions. In which case, the oak does look good here, and I am surprised. This, of course, is an older picture of Lee Haney. The only real good rear relaxed I could find. But his conditioning is top plus here. Of course, the oak, look at that Christmas tree and the lower lat insertions. I am quite shocked. I think it's fair, considering this is the 75 Arnold, and the 74 Arnold rear relaxed was even better. So if there was a better rear relaxed of Lee Haney, Arnold could match him, I am sure. Haney could be in trouble. This is one aspect where he probably figured he would dominate from behind, but I'm telling you, the oak had a good back. All right, muscularity round. Beginning, of course, with the front double bicep pose. This is an oak pose all the way. The conditioning is better on Lee Haney's part, I believe. But, I mean, those deep cuts on oak, he has better muscle separation in his legs and certain other areas. But the lines of oak is just so overwhelming here. The advantage in the arm department as well. I mean, Haney's torso heap with the conditioning and his legs, they do look good. I mean, maybe if he could prop Robbie Robinson's arms on Lee Haney here, now then, I may give him the point. I mean, but only Robbie Robinson has Robinson's arms. So, with no real point in the symmetry round given to anybody, Arnold Schwarzenegger picks up the first point. Ah, yes, the front lat spread, one of my favorite poses. Wow, I am sure all of you guys are pretty shocked right now. Lee Haney known for this pose, and surprisingly, Arnold is not, although, to me, this is one of Arnold's best poses. The angle of the camera is very favorable for the oak, making his legs, I think, a little bit bigger. Although earlier on in his career, back in '73, he did have big legs. But this angle for Lee Haney, not very favorable at all. Let's show the 75 one of Arnold. And the angle is a little bit similar here. And I have to say, both of these gentlemen have very Dorian-esque lat spreads. Not very fair using the 75 for oak. If anything, his legs were exposed here in this competition. I believe Lee Haney may have had an edge in that department, but here in 75, Oak really lost some lag size. If anywhere else, he lost more size on them lags. So take everything into consideration, guys. This front lat spread, it's almost a tie game in this pose, and I am shocked. Oak, unreal in this pose, because let's face it, Lee Haney, one of the best front lat spreads of all time. Side chest pose, Oak all the way. Now, the one saving grace here, this is a bad match for Haney, I must say. First of all, let's get this out of the way, because Haney never won any competitions on rock-hard graininess and conditioning at all. He won with size and lines. He's a big lad. Arnold had much better lines, and he is a bigger lad. And Arnold's conditioning, where it may not be right on par with Haney, I think the overwhelming lines and things of that nature are such an advantage for the Oak. Now, this is probably, let's show a little bit different one here for Haney of a side chest. Now, his conditioning, you can really see what I mean. But Oak's conditioning, take a good look there. If the pictures were more clear as well, I believe his conditioning would be close to Haney. But what's not close is those lines. Look at the chest on the Oak. Side chest, an easy point for the Austrian. The side tricep is never a good pose for Arnold in these comparisons. This is a photo shoot, of course. I don't like to use photo shoots. The only competition side tricep of Arnold, he was like 5 years old. He was just a boy. This one, he does look good. I mean, he is still young in this one as well. But he did not continue to snap this shot. I think if he had kept hitting this shot and working on that tricep, he probably could have easily beat Lee Haney in this. But I have to give this one to Haney. This was one of his best poses. Lots of competition-ready poses as well. Look at the striations in Haney's tricep. Turn around for the rear lat spread and advantage Lee Haney. Look at those bat wings. Nice clear lower lat insertions. Very thick amounts of meat in this one. I don't think this is the best shot of Lee Haney. This one here is much more favorable, although it doesn't show the calves, so it's a little unfair for the Oak. But you can clearly see that lat development much more superior in the part of Lee Haney. This is only the 71 Oak, and his back development did get much better, but I couldn't find any good rear lat spread pictures of him. This is the only one I could use, so either way, Lee Haney gets a point. Rear double bicep pose. This is a much better pose for the Austrian. You can definitely see Lee does have the bigger set of lats. That was obvious in the rear lat spread. But look at the Austrian's Christmas tree, that lower back. It looks just like a Christmas tree. Lee Haney has some lines there, some wrinkles, and I always had gripes about Lee Haney's lower back in this pose. Looks a little soft, if you ask me, and that's what I said. He never did win matches on sheer hard, rock-hard graininess. The Austrian also has those guns. This is a rear double bicep after all. We are safe to assume that his in the calf department would be dominant in that area as well. But come on, guys, at the end of the day, look at the size of Lee Haney's lats. Does that not count for anything? Well, against that Christmas tree, I don't know how much it does mean. Lee Haney's delts, for what that matters, are leading the charge here in the delt department. This is a friggin' close pose here, guys. The rear double bicep and the front lat spread, almost a tie game, so no real point delivered to either man in either pose. The ab and thigh shot, never a good pose for Oak. I don't even like the way he is hitting it. Not a bad pose for Lee Haney, but I think it is enough to get the win. This one here of the Austrian, he is hitting it more to spec, but this is the 1980 Arnold, and you can clearly see the lags were so diminished. They were diminished in 75, and even more so in 1980. So that 74 Oak was the one to bet on in this matchup. But here in the ab and thigh pose, I think Haney has it. And we finally made it to this, the most muscular. This is the final pose, the final say in this matchup. I'm giving this one to the Oak. Look at the size of his pecs in comparison. His conditioning was top plus here in 74. You can clearly see in certain shots that his conditioning was right there with Lee Haney. Maybe Haney had slightly better conditioning, but I mean those lines, the muscles of the oak. He's just a bigger lad. So on the score sheets, it is a tie game, pretty much. But the severity of the certain victories that the oak had over Lee Haney, such as the side chest, the front double bicep, and I don't think Lee Haney ever could have touched Arnold in those poses. And the couple of poses where Lee Haney, he got kind of a dirty victory in that side tricep pose. It wasn't really that fair. And I must say, the Austrian really impressed me in the back development, an area where I thought Lee Haney was going to dominate, and I'm sure he did too. But it was plain to see the Austrian was every step of the way there with Lee Haney in that rear double bicep pose. So at the end of the day, I give this victory to the Austrian Oak, the greatest of all time, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize. This video went on a little bit longer than I would like to have my videos. I like to keep them around 8 minutes. But hey, when it comes to decision making like Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Lee Haney, I'm sure it is worth a couple of extra minutes. Hope you enjoyed it anyway, and if you did, go ahead and tap that thumbs up button and click the subscribe button as well if you have not already. Have a great day.